From the early days of SpaceX, the company's relationship with the FAA has been, to put it mildly, turbulent. The early days were marked by numerous disagreements, with SpaceX facing fines on multiple occasions for failing to meet regulatory requirements. We are living in a period when space exploration is stronger than ever. A current spacecraft will not only be a vehicle that carries humans into space and back, but it needs to have a comfortable and convenient space for astronauts to live, work, and do many other activities and longer missions. Many people will think, how can you fit all that in a spaceship? It's impossible. But there is a spacecraft that will change our thinking soon, and that is SpaceX's Starship. In the past, perhaps we often knew Starship for its huge size and powerful thrust. So, what does life inside Starship look like? Stay tuned as we dive into this and more in this episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my channel.
Space enthusiasts will undoubtedly recall the bureaucratic hoops SpaceX had to jump through for the first Starship launch license. And now, history seems to be repeating itself as the battle for the green light for Starship's second flight ensues. But the latest disagreement between the two entities isn't about Starship. Instead, it revolves around a contentious FAA report concerning space debris. SpaceX was clearly unhappy with the findings of that report. The current atmosphere between them can best be described as tense. This whole situation began when the FAA put out a report that raised many eyebrows. They warned about space junk dangers from satellites in low Earth orbit by 2035. If all the planned satellites are sent up, falling space junk might hurt or even kill someone on Earth every 2 years. Reading between the lines, the report indirectly points fingers at SpaceX, given their ambitious plans for the Starlink satellite constellation. The FAA estimates a staggering 28,000 hazardous fragments from deorbiting satellites, and their associated rockets could survive re-entry by 2035. These numbers, alarmingly align with SpaceX's aggressive Starlink expansion strategy. SpaceX in recent history since 2019 has already launched 5,000 Starlink satellites. With the green light from the FCC, their target is set for 12,000 satellites, but that's not all. They're eyeing global permissions to have an astounding 40,000 Starlinks orbiting our planet. Given the implications, SpaceX is understandably on the defensive. David Goldstein, a principal engineer at SpaceX, didn't mince words. In an October 9 letter addressed to both the FAA and Congress, he criticized the report, calling it a product of deeply flawed analysis that leans heavily on assumptions, guesswork, and outdated studies. The undertone was clear. The company believes it's being unfairly targeted and is prepared to challenge the findings. The situation got more intense when the FAA's report stated that SpaceX's Starlink satellites are a major concern. According to their findings, Starlink is responsible for over 85% of the danger to people on Earth from falling space junk. That's like saying if 100 pieces of junk were to fall from space, 85 of them would be from Starlink. There's also mention of a potential aircraft downing accident due to falling debris in 2035, with an estimated probability of 0.0007 per year. However, the FAA does admit that if SpaceX's claims are accurate about no Starlink debris surviving to date, and their satellites burning up entirely in the atmosphere, then the increase in re-entry risk is actually minimal. According to satellite tracker Jonathan McDowell, 358 Starlink satellites have deorbited so far, and there are 0 reports of their debris making it to the ground. Historically, there haven't been commercial aircraft brought down by space debris. However, space debris re-entering Earth's atmosphere is not a new phenomenon, and smaller fragments do re-enter and burn up frequently, largely unnoticed. For example, the US's first space station Skylab re-entered the Earth's atmosphere in 1979. While most of it burned up during re-entry, some fragments fell in Western Australia. Thankfully, no injuries were reported, but it was a notable event where space debris entered the Earth's atmosphere and reached the ground. SpaceX's Goldstein emphasized in his letter that their satellites are indeed designed to fully burn up during atmospheric re-entry. He took issue with the FAA's claim about the space industry not meeting the 90% success rate for post-mission disposal. stating that SpaceX's success rate is actually greater than 99%. Goldstein further criticized the FAA for using outdated figures in their 2021 analysis, and not considering Amazon's plans to launch a large satellite constellation next year. Beyond the concerns about satellites, the report also sheds light on potential risks arising from rocket debris. Notably, the discarded upper stages of rockets that stay in orbit after their primary mission is completed. These remnants, much larger and heavier than the satellites they deploy, could present a higher risk of damage upon re-entry. Take the Starlink satellites, for example. The combined weight of 60 Starlink satellites is just over 17 tons. However, the Falcon 9 rocket's upper stage, which propels them into orbit, outweighs them at over 25 tons. SpaceX, with its relentless pursuit of space exploration and satellite deployment, has been launching the Falcon 9 rocket more frequently than ever before. They are rewriting the history books, breaking decades-old records with this rocket. The Falcon 9's reusability record is just one aspect of this expansive venture. In 2023 alone, SpaceX has launched a jaw-dropping 70 rockets, which includes 66 Falcon 9s, 3 Falcon Heavies, and 1 Starship. The company's goal is clear: achieve a total of 100 launches by the end of the year. To put this into perspective, it's akin to witnessing a rocket soaring into the skies every 3 to 4 days. SpaceX's drive in 2023 builds upon an already impressive feat from 2022. The previous year, Falcon 9 rocket launched 60 times within 365 days. This wasn't just another number. It toppled a record that stood tall for over 40 years. The former champion, the Soyuz rocket, had 47 launches in 1979, of which 45 were successful. But SpaceX didn't merely inch past this record. They flew by it, adding another feather to their cap. Perhaps what's even more commendable is SpaceX's impeccable safety record amidst this rapid-fire launch schedule. Over its last 228 launches since September 2016, not a single mishap has been reported. And recently, there's been some hint from the FAA about when we might see Starship's next launch. But this hint seems to have stirred more frustration for SpaceX and its CEO Musk. It's clear that Musk is running out of patience with the ongoing delays, and he didn't hold back his feelings on Twitter. The head of the FAA's commercial space division has shared some good news. They've finished looking into the issues from Starship's last test. If SpaceX makes all the needed changes, they could get permission for the next launch by mid to late October. Musk clearly feels that SpaceX's progress is being bogged down by bureaucratic processes. Highlighting this sentiment was a recent post on Twitter that brought attention to how the U.S. Fish and Wildlife officials are seemingly dragging their feet in reviewing the action SpaceX took post the Starship launch in April. He simply replied, "It's crazy that SpaceX can build such a big rocket faster than they can review some papers." This tweet shows just how frustrated he is with the slow pace of paperwork compared to how quickly SpaceX is moving forward. To be honest, it's not just Musk who's frustrated. We, the space enthusiasts, share in that feeling. It's strange to think that we're now more worried about paperwork than the launch of the world's largest rocket. It's really frustrating to see big leaps in space technology getting slowed down by paperwork. So, let's talk what's inside in the spacecrafts. Many vehicles have flown into space and created new steps for humanity, but do you realize what they have in common? Inside those spacecrafts, we will often only see a cramped compartment with a few chairs adjacent to each other, along with a control table and a few other computer screens for working. Spacecraft are just means of transporting people. Astronauts simply sit on it, fly to a planned target, work, research, and then return. But in future missions, as the boundary of space exploration continues to expand, those vehicles will no longer be suitable. We need bigger and more modern spacecraft in which we can live, work, and do other activities like living in our house. So who can do that? Of course, these are powerful private aerospace companies, which own the most modern technology in the world. The most prominent among them is SpaceX, the leading aerospace company in the world today. They are creating a true house inside their current world's largest rocket, Starship. It's located at the top of the world's largest spacecraft. So let's open the door, step inside, and discover it. The overall living space will be factors like food, water, fuel, and energy. Here we'll see scientific instruments, robots, rovers, and other cargo blocks. These will be extremely important for research missions. In addition, we will also see an electrical system, which will provide energy to the entire system above. The house needs energy to keep it running. Where does the energy come from? Well, Starship will use the common energy source like most vehicles and space stations today, solar energy. It'll have solar panels that help absorb the heat from the sun and then convert it to electricity to supply the systems on the floor we talked about above. But that won't be the only source of energy because we can't get solar power in some cases. That's why SpaceX has prepared another backup energy source. Therefore, this floor can be considered a warehouse in this house. Next, this floor will be where the most important resources are stored, food and water. Besides that, you can also see a space that no spacecraft has ever had before. A garden. Astronauts can grow and care for vegetables here, creating a green space inside the spacecraft. Besides, this floor will also have bathrooms and toilets for astronauts to conduct their personal lives. There's a big challenge here. Water won't flow like it does on Earth due to lack of gravity, so SpaceX will prepare special equipment like space toilets, wet towels, and dry shampoo to help us more conveniently live in this environment. Moreover, we'll also experience the feeling of floating in a zero-gravity environment on this floor. This will be the space for the control system, seats, and main workplace of the astronauts. We visited all parts of the mini-world that SpaceX created. Let's summarize what it has. The warehouse, garden, food, water gym room, bathroom, toilet, bedroom, observation room, and working room. Is it similar to your current house? And don't forget another very important factor, which will determine how far the vehicle can go. Fuel. With its current design, Starship will have enough fuel tanks to hold 1,200 tons of fuel. In the future, if SpaceX continues to increase the size of Starship, the fuel payload will increase further, helping to provide more energy for longer future missions. In particular, Starship is using liquid oxygen and liquid methane as fuel. However, it will take time for SpaceX to develop technology that can collect and convert those available resources into usable fuel. If you like this video, make sure to give a thumbs up, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. By the way, are you familiar TalkTalk Philippines app? TalkTalk is a delivery service app designed to connect more people by delivering items door to door. For more information, download the TalkTalk app, here down below.